Imagine a school hidden deep in the Canadian wilderness, far from the battlefields of World War II. This wasn't a place for reading, writing, or arithmetic. This was a school for spies, saboteurs, and assassins. Welcome to the story of Camp X, Britain's hidden assassination school. During the darkest days of World War II, the Allies needed a new kind of soldier, one who could operate in the shadows, deep behind enemy lines. They needed agents who could gather intelligence, disrupt supply lines, and eliminate high-value targets without a trace. The problem was, these skills weren't taught in any army. So they created a place that would, Camp X. Officially known as Special Training School 103, Camp X was established on the shores of Lake Ontario, near Whitby, Canada. Its location was a secret, its purpose even more so. Here, men and women from across the Allied nations were brought to be forged into deadly weapons. The head of this clandestine operation was a man known as the Quiet Canadian, Sir William Stevenson, a legendary spy master and close confidant of both Winston Churchill and President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So, what exactly did they teach at this top-secret facility? The curriculum was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was a brutal, no-holds-barred education in the art of ungentlemanly warfare. The instructors, masters of espionage and combat, taught techniques that were considered too ruthless, too savage for the conventional battlefield. This was about survival and success at any cost. One of the cornerstones of Camp X training was what they called gutter fighting. Forget the Marquis of Queensberry rules. This was about pure, vicious efficiency. Trainees learned how to use everyday objects as lethal weapons. A pen, a newspaper, even a simple coin. They were taught to exploit the human body's weakest points, to strike with disabling force, and to kill silently and quickly with their bare hands. The legendary William E. Fairburn, a former Shanghai police officer who had faced hundreds of street fights, was one of the chief instructors. He developed a close-quarters combat system that was brutally effective. His philosophy was simple: win. Trainees practiced endlessly, learning chokeholds, knife techniques, and silent takedowns until the movements became second nature. The goal was to turn a person into a walking weapon, capable of neutralizing a threat in seconds. But it wasn't just about physical combat. Camp X was a comprehensive spy school. Agents learned the delicate art of espionage, how to create and use secret codes, how to forge documents, how to pick locks, and how to plant explosives. They practiced setting up dead drops, recruiting informants, and maintaining cover stories under intense interrogation. They learned to blend in, to become ghosts in the enemy's machine. They also mastered sabotage. Students were taught how to derail trains, destroy bridges, and cripple factories using homemade explosives. They learned to use timers and detonators with precision, turning everyday materials into tools of destruction. These skills would be put to devastating use across occupied Europe, hampering the Axis war effort from within. The psychological training was just as intense. Agents had to be mentally unbreakable. They were put through grueling exercises designed to test their nerve, their ability to lie convincingly, and their resistance to interrogation. They had to be prepared for capture, torture, and the constant threat of death. They learned to control their fear and to think clearly under unimaginable pressure. Camp X was also a hub of technological innovation. It housed Hydra, a highly advanced communication station that was a vital link between North America and Europe. It relayed top-secret messages, including sensitive intelligence from the Enigma code-breaking operations at Bletchley Park. In many ways, Camp X was the nerve center for Allied covert operations across the globe. Many famous figures passed through the gates of Camp X. Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, is said to have visited and been inspired by what he saw. The men and women who trained here went on to serve in organizations like the Special Operations Executive, SOE, and the American Office of Strategic Services, OSS, the forerunner to the CIA. These agents were dropped into Nazi-occupied territories in France, Norway, and beyond. They organized resistance movements, gathered critical intelligence, and carried out daring missions that changed the course of the war. They were the invisible soldiers, the unsung heroes whose actions saved countless lives, but whose stories often remained classified for decades. Think about the courage it took to leave your home, your family, your very identity behind, to volunteer for missions with an incredibly low survival rate. The graduates of Camp X knew the risks. They knew they were walking into the lion's den, armed with little more than their wits and the deadly skills they had learned in the Canadian wilderness. After the war, Camp X was dismantled. The buildings were torn down, and the land was sold. For years, its story was shrouded in secrecy, a forgotten chapter of the war. But the legacy of Camp X lives on. The techniques and doctrines developed there formed the foundation of modern special forces and intelligence agencies around the world. The gutter fighting of Fairbairn is still taught to commandos today. The story of Camp X is a stark reminder that victory in war is not always won on the open battlefield. It's often secured in the shadows by brave individuals willing to do the difficult, dangerous, and sometimes ruthless work that must be done. It was a place where ordinary people were turned into extraordinary weapons, all in the service of freedom. The world owes a debt to the silent warriors of Camp X. Their contributions, long hidden from public view, were vital to the Allied victory. They were the ghosts of the Second World War, and their legend deserves to be told. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of World War II's greatest secrets. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. Let me know in the comments what other secret operations you'd like to see uncovered. Until next time, stay curious.